My name is Alana Duffy, and I'm here to talk about how we used engaging networks during the recent federal election. First, I'll talk a little bit about MS Canada. So we used to be known as the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada. We rebranded at the beginning of 2023 as MS Canada. And our vision is a world free of multiple sclerosis, or MS. MS is one of the leading neurological diseases among young adults in Canada, and approximately 90,000 Canadians live with MS. We connect the MS community to programs, information, and research, and to each other while they're on their MS journey. And we also invest in research that will help achieve our 4 impact goals: advancing treatment and care, enhancing well-being, helping to understand and halt disease progression, and ultimately to prevent MS. And our mission is to connect and empower the MS community to make positive change. My role is on the Advocacy and Government Relations team, and we use engaging networks to connect with our community at every opportunity. So we're one of the, I would say, OG clients of Engaging Networks. We've been working with them for more than 10 years. And before I get into the federal candidate database, I wanted to talk a little bit about how we've used Engaging Networks in the past. So we have, on our team, we have 5 policy priority areas for which we advocate, but we wanted to get a sense a few years ago of which of these priorities is most salient or most important for our community. So back in the spring of 2022, we launched a series of petitions and open letters to our supporters within Engaging Networks, and then we gauged their level of interest in each one. And income security was clearly the front runner. It's often something that's very important for people with disabilities. It's very difficult to have income security and a solid income if you rely on disability benefits. And our work over the last few years has also been largely centered on the Canada Disability Benefit, which is the first federal benefit for Canadians with disabilities that will finally become available next month. And we used Engaging Networks when the legislation to create this benefit was being developed. When it was in its regulatory phase, we launched a consultation. We asked our community what was most important for them, and we were able to send the results right through to ESDC Canada, which was administering that consultation. And we've also used Engaging Networks to consult our community about the disability tax credit. So this is a credit that's going to be used to access the Canada Disability Benefit. We knew anecdotally that Canadians living with MS had trouble accessing this credit. You'll hear me refer to it as the DTC. So we ran our consultation last year with Engaging Networks to just hear directly from our community. We had more than 1,000 responses, and we kind of used the responses from our community to inform our work. So when my team is meeting with politicians, we can say, oh, we did this consultation, and most people said that the disability tax credit is very hard to secure if you live with MS. So digital advocacy through Engaging Networks is one layer of our overall advocacy work. So I'll get into the federal election campaign. So in our advocacy work, my team is meeting a lot with members of parliament, senators, policy staff to advocate for those policy priorities that were up on the last slide. And during the federal election, we ran a campaign through Engaging Networks for our community, and then at the same time, my team was meeting with campaign teams to speak about disability tax credit amendments and also research funding for MS prevention research. And we run campaigns throughout the year, but elections are particularly interesting because people are really tuned into politics at those times. And It's a great opportunity also to reach politicians because they're listening during the election. So the Engaging Networks database was created by the team at Engaging Networks. It lists all the candidates in each riding, so about 4 to 5 candidates for all of the 343 ridings. And it's a really helpful tool for us because we have a team of 3 people. We could never build a database that is that comprehensive. So we created an email to target campaign. Here's what it looked like. So at the top we had a little bit of a preamble of what our asks are: disability tax credits, research funding, and then the form is on the right-hand side of the screen. We tried to remove as many barriers as we could. If someone had used Engaging Networks with us before, all the information like first and last name would already be filled in. Their postal code was key to figuring out which riding they resided in. And then in the light blue at the top was the letter. We decided to put it into a drop-down expandable. We didn't want anyone to see like a wall of text when they turn to the page, and it might turn them off, sending the letter. So we had that expandable drop-down for them to read if they wanted to. And the other very important thing is the personal comments at the bottom. So we find these are really helpful in our advocacy. They're helpful to reach politicians, but then also we do analyze them after an election to see what's most important to people, and we have reused those comments in our advocacy work. So over the course of the 5-week election period, we sent 5 emails to supporters in our Engaging Networks database, asking them to send a letter to their candidates. We had letters sent in 333 out of the 343 ridings, or 97%, and we had nearly 3,000 individuals participate and over 9,000 letters sent. As I mentioned, concurrently, my team was meeting with campaign teams to talk about our priorities, and we were really pleased to see that the DTC reform was included in both the Liberal and the Conservative platforms. And we think that having the letters being sent at the same time really augmented that work and increased the salience of that issue for the parties. So just to wrap up, one of the reasons the candidate database is so important to us is because responses from candidates allows us to identify champions who can help us advance our priorities in the next parliament. So for example, one candidate wrote back and disclosed she had a very close family member who lived with MS. She was elected, so now we know that's someone that we can turn to for help advancing our policy priorities. And as I mentioned, it allows our small team to have a maximum impact. It empowers our community to get involved and speak out about issues that impact them. And our next steps are working to make that campaign platform promise a reality. In the fall, we're going to be in Ottawa, MS Canada representatives from across the country, to meet with MPs and senators and advocate for those DTC changes. So we're already planning our fall campaign to run at the same time so that MPs that we're meeting with are aware of their issues, they're getting letters, they know that these issues matter to their constituents. And we find that that always helps familiarize them with our asks before we meet. So we just want to say thanks to Engaging Networks for creating this great tool in our advocacy work and keeping our community engaged. Thank you.
I'm just curious if you know if these were net new people who were brought in. I think you said there was like 3,000 something. And then what's the journey afterwards? And then from a fundraising perspective, do you ask them for donations afterwards once they've taken an action? So sorry, many questions.
No, thank you. So we have a database of over 200,000 supporters. So we use that database to reach out to people. Most of them came from pre-existing interactions. We do have a welcome journey. I I will say my colleague, I have a colleague named Daniel who's off on parental leave. He's our Engaging Networks guru at MS Canada. So I can't speak really to how the Welcome Journey works, but we do run one. And then fundraising, we do not use Engaging Networks for fundraising. And so I can't speak to that.
Okay. Any other burning questions out there in the audience? Okay. We're recording. Thank you. How did you promote the campaign?
Thanks. Yes, so we promoted it on our social media channels. We sent emails to the supporters in our database. We have newsletters that also go out to our community members through Salesforce, so we use those methods primarily.
All right, well, thank you so much.